I think the business opportunity to this is always exciting, and, you know, hairdressers want to know about this. And, you know, apart from this being bang on trend, Hayley,
yeah,
what's going to be the biggest benefit to hairdressers, salon owners, freelancers?
Yeah, again, going back to, we've been in so many years of blended, lived in colour. This is going to really open kind of the mind to doing more higher maintenance colours to increase frequency. So let's think back to, you know, when I started training and working on the shop floor, our clients were coming every 4 to 6 weeks. It was not a problem. Right, yeah. They were coming because they had to maintain their colour. So this will encourage that again, which we all want to see. And also it's great for us. It keeps us motivated, inspired, and grows our skill, and also inspires our younger team as well.
Yeah, and that's important. I think keeping a younger generation really excited and inspired. So we talk about this frequency. Why is colour blocking going to be helping us increase the frequency of our clients, Jordanna?
Well, I suppose the technique itself is painted closer to the root, right? So you're going to get much more of a harsh demarcation when that grows out. Therefore, the client should really be coming, particularly if it's lightening work, every 8 weeks, right? However, the other end of the spectrum is whatever colour choice you choose for that panel or that colour block placement, even if it's not bold, even if it's a muted palette, you're still going to need to upkeep that shade. So it's a really nice opportunity to sell retail. It's a great opportunity to try new shades under the Wella portfolio. And it's also a really nice way to introduce or inject some creativity with your clients. We all know our clients love to stick to the safe classic highlights, the safe toner that they've had for the last 5 years. And as hairdressers, sometimes we may get a little bit complacent with that. So this is a really nice way of introducing a new shade without the full level of commitment to commit to a pink all over. So it could even be a nice way of saying, shall we try a Barbie pink, you know? And it could be a hidden panel underneath a classic set of highlights. It could be even just to create the illusion of thickness on our blonde bobs. It could be a hidden panel underneath. It could be an Alice band. There's just the possibilities are endless. And I think it's a huge business opportunity. And as a salon owner, I will be implementing this as a colour menu itself. And I'll be actually characterising and personalising that menu towards my brand. And of course, as we know with all colour menus, it's so tailor-made and so bespoke per client, but a great add-on as a service.
But I think what's worrying me, and maybe a lot of listeners, is frequency. You know, is it down? Why is it down, Hayley?
Now, my personal opinion, you could think of it 2 ways. We have, you know, been in a recession and we're assuming people don't have the money to spend. However, is it because they don't see the value in the hairdresser or going back more regularly? So if they have something more bespoke for them and they're getting feedback off their family and friends, your hair looks amazing, where have you had that done? Then they're going to think, well, do you know what? I feel great and I'm going to maintain this, because instead of thinking, well, I look the same all year round, so it doesn't matter if I leave it 2 more weeks, because 2 more weeks is only going to be a tiny bit more regrowth and I can cope. So it's not one size fits all. So let's encourage our clients to have something a bit more bespoke. And when they feel good, they'll come back more often.
There's a couple of things we can take from that. We can either decide to push our efforts or consciously make an effort into encouraging a higher spend when the clients are in salon, or we can use add-on services to get the clients back in regularly, as Hayley said. So that could be, if you have a root tint, you could start introducing, I've put it in my service menu as slicing, 90 slicing. So you could start to introduce a panel. Again, it's not committing to the full head, so you don't have to, you know, charge too much for it. But again, it's creating the demarcation. They're going to see that grow out and they're going to want it. And of course, if you're keeping clients toned hair refreshed, they are going to want to come back. And, you know, they do see the value in it. And statistics do show that hairdressing as a service is one of the things that people value the most. So actually, as an industry, I think we should count ourselves lucky that it's not the first thing the consumers are actually going to drop off their list when they're looking at money saving tips. And of course, we've got the Barbie trend, we've got color blocking. There's so much going on that we could totally push for in salon, keeping blondes really, really bright. And, you know, with color blocking coming out so soon, I think we can really monetize on this.
Now, if clients are looking for a lower frequency sort of visit, how can we start this conversation with the clients? How do we move them into this new service that maybe they're unfamiliar with?
Sure. So this is my favorite question of all time because the answer is it depends who you're talking to. So I had a client last week and I sort of said to her, look, I think we can make your bob look even thicker. And here's how. I'm going to color the underneath piece of your fringe slightly darker so that it kind of creates the illusion of thickness on your blonde hair. And I think you're going to love it. It's only 1.5 or 2 shades darker than your normal toner. And this is what it's going to create for you. So you're finding the pain point. Do you struggle with fine hair or limp hair? Yes. And here's the solution. The other option is, are you bored with your highlights? Should we do something different, but like not totally different so you don't have to commit to a whole change? Yes. Okay, let's try just one panel of pink on the underneath so you can only really see it when you tie your hair up in a ponytail. I think it'll be amazing. You don't have to use the words color blocking. You don't have to use the word chunky slicing. You don't have to. You can introduce it in a way that's like exciting, refreshing. Are you bored? Oh, I love that you have natural white hair. However, I understand that it's annoying to have it in places that you don't want to see it. So we can cover your gray today. However, imagine if we introduced one panel of like white or like grey, and we could call it the wisdom streak, and it could have like Cruella de Vil, Devil Wears Prada. Do you know what I mean? You just given the references.
You know, I love your menus and your names. You get me excited. I'm a bald man and I want this. So it's brilliant. I love.
A client loves it when that you've been thinking about them. Do you know what? I saw this the other day and thought of you. You've got their attention straight away, and it's about them and their hair, not everyone's looking the same. So yeah,
individuality is what we just said about. How do we get them to visualize these looks, Jordanna, when we're sat down and we're introducing them to this conversation of maybe heading into this new service?
Yeah, sure. So you can totally download any of the visual mood boards that Wella have kindly created for us. And actually some of these mood boards are editable. So we can download our own color menu now from mysalonmarketing.com. And it's editable. You can change the name for it. Or you can create your own mood boards. You can even sketch out diagrams. You can just, screenshot celebrities that have, this type of color blocking already. But you do have to pair it with, finding where it can fit on that client, and pair it with your excitement and pair it with an idea that you have.
We are artists. We've got to remember why we went into the industry in the first place. We love creating beautiful hair. And I just think it's so important, as well for the younger hairdressers coming through that we show that passion.
And you can work as a team, I guess, but you pulling these sort of looks together, maybe, Jordanna, is that?
Yeah, absolutely. You can sit down with your team, the next staff meeting that you have, download some of the visual mood boards, talk about, okay, how can we implement this in salon? Do you think it's going to be more popular this way? Do you think we could come up with 3 different techniques? And how can we market it?
From a palette point of view, from you, Jordanna, what are you currently loving in colour blocking? Is there any particular palettes that are jumping out and you think, yeah, this is the go-to? I know you mentioned a couple of sort of the Barbie pinks. Is there anything more that's really jumping out for you?
I'm loving the new KP shades, which are a very dark, rich, kind of cool matte shade. And I think pairing that sometimes with something quite warm is quite exciting. For example, I did it on a client recently and she's got a beautiful kind of level 5. It's such a nice, cool kind of ash shade. And I've paired it with like a vintage copper. She's always wanted to try copper, particularly on the back of, Daisy Jones and the Six. I love making references to like things that people are watching.
Love Daisy Jones, by the way.
Yeah. And she's always wanted to try copper, but of course we've been dyeing her hair for years with KP, so I know it's going to be quite difficult to lift. But we focus on one panel, and I know that she can't get that at home. And so the creative panel placement is super important for us as hairdressers. Spend the time to get those nice, clean sections and visualize exactly how how that section is going to land in different partings, how it's going to move. And then, so we gave her this beautiful vintage copper at the front, and it just paired so beautifully with a cool shade. So I'm a real big lover of cool and warm. However, if there is so much going on with the head now that we've got, color blocking, there's so much going on with the placement. You can also opt to have a more expensive take on this trend and go for more of a muted palette. So as Hayley said, sticking with blondes on a level 10 and then maybe only playing around with toners on a level 7. And it just creates a beautiful kind of effect that fades beautifully and isn't too contrasty because there's only 1 or 2 level of depth difference.
I think as hair professionals, I think this is why I'm enjoying this, is because it all feels new and exciting and moving forward. And looking how we...
jump in there. It all feels new. And what is the number one reason that clients leave a hairdresser? Next time you get a new client in your chair, why don't you use that as a free focus group? Ask them, what's the reason for you leaving your previous salon? And it's always down to, I'm just a bit bored. I just wanted to try something new. Or sometimes they don't even feel listened to. And I'm sure I'm guilty of that. I'm sure I've got clients saying that right now about me. However, we could use this trend to really gain back that excitement and to inject something new into. What
about finding out more again on Wella Professionals online, social media?
Sure. So on Instagram, you want to type in @WellaHairUKI. And there's also a second channel, which is @WellaProfessionalsUKI.
Great. And is there more sort of on the educational side?
Yeah, definitely. So if you head to education.wella.com and want to find out more about colour blocking, we've got a full section on there. So head there.
Cool. And listeners, do not worry. We'll put all the links into our show notes as well to accompany everything that we talked about on the podcast today.